Welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're looking at something really interesting, kind of going beyond the usual conversation around semaglutide.
Right. Most people hear semaglutide and just think weight loss.
Exactly. But, what happens when that constant, uh, that drive of physical hunger starts to ease up a bit? What else is going on?
Yeah, what comes to the surface then? That's what Dan Hollis seems to be exploring.
We're diving into his perspective today, specifically looking at two pieces he wrote.
That's right. We've got a meeting with my friend Dan Hollis on semaglutide and another one called Emotional Hunger. What Dan Hollis taught me about emotional hunger.
And it's important to remember, like you said before we started, these aren't peer-reviewed studies or anything.
No, not at all. They're really personal reflections, his observations from talking with people. It's a very human lens.
Which is exactly why it's interesting, I think. It gives us a different take.
Yeah.
So our mission today is really to get inside Hollis's thinking here.
Yeah, what's he seeing? What shifts are happening beyond just the physical changes?
He uses this word, silence. He talks about semaglutide creating a kind of silence.
And how that silence maybe opens a door to understanding our relationship with food, maybe our deeper needs.
Okay, let's get into it. One of the first things Hollis pushes back on is this standard idea about weight.
The whole calories in, calories out, just need more discipline model.
He basically says that's not the whole story, or maybe it's just wrong sometimes.
Well, he argues it misses something crucial. He feels there's something else driving things, often something we don't even talk about.
He uses this phrase, emotional amnesia. What do you think he means by that?
It sounds like
Yeah.
we've sort of forgotten the real reasons, the emotional triggers behind why we reach for food. It's become automatic, disconnected.
So not a lack of discipline necessarily, but maybe a lack of awareness.
Yeah, something unseen, unaddressed. He's trying to decode that, it seems.
And then he drops this line. It's quite striking. Semaglutide gives you silence, and silence gives you truth.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah,
That's a big statement.
it is. So beyond just not feeling physically hungry, what's the truth this silence supposedly reveals?
Well, if the drug turns down the volume on those, constant biological hunger signals,
Yeah.
maybe that creates a space, a
Mm.
quiet space where other things, maybe feelings or needs we usually ignore or cover up with food, suddenly get louder.
So the physical noise quiets down, and you start hearing the emotional whispers.
Something like that. The signals that were maybe drowned out before.
And this ties into another slightly counterintuitive idea he has. He talks about offering intentional surrender, not control.
Right. Which is so different from the usual diet approach, which is all about fighting urges, controlling everything.
So how does intentional surrender work here? It sounds passive almost.
I think it's more about acknowledging that the physical hunger isn't driving the bus as much anymore. And then, instead of fighting phantom urges, you intentionally turn towards whatever feelings or thoughts are coming up in that quieter space. You surrender to exploring them.
So not giving up, but giving in to self-discovery.
Exactly. Being open. He even suggests that when people relapse, it might not just be hunger coming back.
What else then?
Maybe it's confusion. Maybe they just don't know what to do in that silence. It feels unfamiliar, maybe even scary.
Which brings us to that headline idea he had, the one he felt was missed.
Oh, yeah. What if you weren't broke and just confused?
That changes everything, doesn't it? It
Yeah.
shifts from blaming the person to maybe blaming a lack of understanding.
Totally. It takes away the shame. Instead of selling a fix based on the idea that you're flawed,
Yeah.
he seems to be saying, hey, let's use this quiet moment. Let's sit with the discomfort and actually learn something from it.
Rather than just immediately trying to sell another solution or another diet plan.
Right. Learn from the discomfort. Don't just run from it.
Okay, so if semaglutide, in Hollis's view, isn't just about appetite suppression or fat loss or hormones, what's the core thing it does provide?
He puts it really simply and I think powerfully. He says it provides a moment where food stops talking.
Stops talking.
Yeah, think about that. For someone whose internal world has maybe always been dominated by thoughts of food, cravings, planning meals, feeling guilty,
That silence must be profound.
it could be a break from that noise. A truly honest moment maybe for the first time.
But as he points out, that quiet isn't necessarily peaceful. It can be challenging.
Definitely. He suggests people might struggle or fail, as he puts it, not because the drug isn't working on a biological level,
Because.
but because they haven't learned how to navigate life without that constant focus on food. It's like their main coping tool is suddenly less effective or gone.
The silence feels empty, maybe. Scary.
It could. It could feel like losing something familiar, even if that familiar thing was, as he says, maybe their favorite lie or coping mechanism.
And the risk then is reaching back for the noise.
Exactly. Reaching for the cheese puffs, cheat days, chaos, as he puts it. Filling the void with the old, familiar static.
But Hollis isn't just about pointing out the problem, is he? He talks about building something in that space. Scaffolding.
Yes. This is key. He doesn't just want to create silence. He wants to help people build something new within that silence.
Okay, so what does that scaffolding look like, practically speaking?
It seems to involve a few things. He mentions focusing on framework, identity, ritual, and language.
Right, so creating new structures.
Yeah, helping people redefine who they are outside of their relationship with food. Establishing new routines, new rituals that provide meaning or comfort, but aren't food-centric.
And developing a new language, maybe to talk about their needs differently?
Precisely. It's like helping them rewrite the story people were too full to finish. That's a great line he uses.
That implies really deep work, though, not just a quick fix.
Well, absolutely. This isn't something you could easily package and sell in a 30-day program. It's about fundamental shifts.
And a core part of this seems to be understanding the difference he draws between physical and emotional hunger.
Yes, a crucial distinction.
That-
Physical hunger is, well, physical.
Stomach rumbling, low energy, that kind of thing.
Right, the grumble, the hollowness. But emotional hunger, he says, is different. It often shows up as a craving, yeah, but it's really
A question.
a need asking to be seen, is how he puts it.
Yeah.
It's a signal, but we misinterpret it.
So we feel tired or lonely or stressed or just overwhelmed.
And our brain translates that into, I need chips or I need ice cream.
We mistake the need for rest or connection or calm as a need for food.
Exactly. Signal confusion.
And food becomes this emotional scaffolding, right? A prop we lean on.
Yeah, a quick, easy, socially acceptable way to try and manage those underlying feelings.
So when semaglutide potentially weakens that prop or makes it less necessary.
We can feel exposed. Suddenly, those underlying needs are right there without the usual buffer of food.
That sounds uncomfortable.
It can be. But Hollis reframes it. He says that emotional hunger isn't weakness. It's wisdom misdirected. It's your body or mind trying to tell you something important, but the message got scrambled along the way.
So the wisdom is the underlying need, but the misdirection is thinking food is the answer.
Pretty much. And the key, he suggests, is learning to pause when that craving hits.
Don't just react automatically.
Right. Pause. Get curious. Ask yourself, okay, what am I actually feeling right now? What might I really need? Is it food or is it something else?
So semaglutide isn't presented as the cure for emotional eating, in his view.
No, not directly. It's more like a tool, an opportunity.
It quiets the biological noise.
So you can finally hear those quieter emotional signals more clearly. It creates the space needed to do that deeper work.
The work of rebuilding identity, changing behaviors, developing actual emotional awareness.
Yes, separating true hunger from that signal confusion he talks about.
I like his idea of seeing cravings not as enemies, but as messengers.
Me too. It changes the whole dynamic, doesn't it? Instead of fighting them.
You listen to them. Try to understand the message.
Exactly. Meet them with insight, not just impulse. And healing that emotional hunger, he stresses, isn't about more rules or diets.
It needs empathy, awareness.
Yes, self-compassion, understanding your own emotional landscape.
Yeah.
The real work is getting curious about the question behind the craving.
Okay, so let's try and wrap up Dan Hollis's main points here. Semaglutide, from his perspective, can create this window.
A window of reduced physical hunger noise.
Which provides an opportunity, maybe a unique one, to finally examine those deeper emotional needs, the ones that might have been driving our relationship with food all along.
Yeah, his core message really seems to be, maybe it's not always about the food itself.
Maybe the food is just the symptom or the coping mechanism.
Well, what the food is masking or what need it's trying, perhaps clumsily, to fulfill.
It's definitely a thought-provoking way to look at it. It makes you think about the silence in your own life, you know?
In relation to food, or maybe other things too.
Yeah, any area where we have those strong automatic pulls or reactions, what questions might bubble up if things got quiet for a bit?
What needs might be asking to be seen.
What stories, like Hollis says, might we have been too full, maybe too busy or distracted to really finish or even start understanding?
Definitely gives you something to chew on, so to speak.
It certainly does. Thanks for diving into this perspective with me.
My pleasure. Really fascinating stuff.